Hello? Got to be really quick, Jess.
That just takes me to the DMU events page, which takes me back to the same thing.
Okay, sorry. I may not. Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to this session called Escape from the Car, part of DMU's Festival of Teaching. My name's Andrew Reeves. I'm part of DMU's Institute of Energy and Sustainable Development, and I've invited to do this session because of work I'm doing with the City Council around climate change and the climate emergency. And I thought, because it's a festival of teaching, I wanted to tackle it in a slightly different way and do a session which looks at some of the ideas around behaviour change for climate change, but in a playful way over an hour. So I've taken inspiration from escape rooms to try and pull something together that is enjoyable and covers some of the main ideas. It's an experiment, and we're just going to see how it goes. So anyway, welcome, and I hope you enjoy the coming hour. So just to build upon that, so DMU and Leicester City Council have been doing a range of projects under the banner DMU Local Plus over the last year. And there's one I'm coordinating, which is supporting the City Council's environment team on developing engagement strategies and doing supporting research around their climate emergency action plan. Because this is a festival of teaching, what I'm also sharing with you is related to things that I teach at DMU. So I teach a master's module, Leading Change for Sustainability, within our Energy and Sustainable Development, MSc. And the main concepts we're going to look at in this session are taken from that module. And finally, through that module, I've been working with members of the Sustainable Transport team at Leicester City Council for a few years, with them providing case studies and challenges and taking the key concepts from that module to the council for them to work with. So that's another way this teaching links to activity in the real world. That's about all by way of introduction. So what we're going to move on to is a series of activities that are there so that everyone who's taking part in this session can join in. That's the idea, that's the design. And hopefully, collectively, we're going to win. That's the idea. So first thing is, you're a team, and we all want to introduce each other to each other. So using the Q&A box, I want you to throw in your moniker for this session. So that is your name plus the number of cars you own or co-own, if you share them, plus the number of bicycles you own or co-own. So it might be Andrew 05, Jeremy 30. Or you might not want to share how many of either vehicle you own, in which case just stick down an X instead of that digit. Or you might have lost count, and that's fine as well. So you could be Rob XO if that's the case. So add in the Q&A who you are from that point of view. Laura and Stuart behind the scenes, you might be able to share a few of the offerings we get on the screen as well as they come in. So who's in our team? Okay, at the very least, Ursula is in our team and is playing. Good, Ursula 23, thank you. Anyone else out there who can share who they are? Welcome, Demio 2. By the way, there's no advantage in being slow here. We've only got an hour to win at this, so and I will pause to hear from more of you. So please, even if you're putting in XX, share your name. Hey, excellent. We have more players. Susan 03, Robin 21. Welcome to all of you. I have one or two more people just to be reassured we're core it. Laura X1. Great. Okay, that's Sue 1, 2, I'm guessing. Also joining the fray. Brilliant. Okay, it's great to see that you're with me. Feel free to kind of add your moniker in as we go. And don't be shy about joining in because it just won't work if you don't. So welcome. So we have an hour, less than an hour now, and what we're going to try and do is help our two protagonists, J and K, to escape from the car. So this is all about behaviour change to act on climate change. I'm going to introduce some main ideas about design for behaviour change that I teach on my module and how they could be linked to action on climate change. And we're also going to root this in what happens in Leicester. So you can hear about ways that people can be supported to start cycling in Leicester. And I'm going to try and be as interactive and playful as I can. Welcome Dave 22 as well. Thanks Stuart for sharing that. And Helen 110. Great. So let's go. So step one is, why escape from the car? Why does that matter? And you can see the kind of arrows along the bottom, which are kind of steps for designing for behavior change. This isn't a specific published framework. I've kind of pulled together ideas from a few different ones that will fit in a 1 hour session. But the bit in orange shows the bit we're focused on now. And the bit we're focused on now is being clear on what you're talking about. So what is the problem behavior that you're trying to address, and what target behaviors might you like to see happen instead? In our case, our problem behavior is people in UK cities using a car for all their journeys when it could be they could do those journeys by more sustainable means. We're going to explore why that might be a problem in a second. There are many different target behaviors you might use to resolve that, and the one we're focused on in this session is using cycling as your main mode of transport within a city, and maybe even not even needing to own a car because cycling meets your core needs. So that's the concept we're going to explore in this session. So we're going to explore this further through a quiz, and we're going to be using a platform called Slido a few times in the session. So I want you to go to Slido. The easiest way might be if you've got a phone with you with data, so you can have the screen open on a computer and then have Slido open on your phone. You could also open another tab on your browser. But if you go to slido.com and then put in the code 35422, and I'm just going to share my screen so we can do the quiz together. Now, there are 8 questions in the quiz. Collectively, you need to get at least 4 of them right. Let's say, as in there are at least 4 questions where most of you get the right answer. So I don't know what I'm going to do if you don't manage that, but that's the idea. So I'm going to activate the quiz. Okay, and I'm just going to share my screen if you give me a second. So don't dive in yet with the first question. So I'm going to share, Chrome tab, present mode, go. Okay. So hopefully you can see the quiz. Hopefully you can see the first question. What do you think? So this question is about the carbon footprint of Leicester. So if carbon emissions stay at present levels in Leicester, how long will it take us to use our entire budget of carbon emissions for the 21st century? So that's thinking about climate change and what we need to do in Leicester. You should be able to choose an option of either 7 years, 17 or 27 years. So I want reassurance this is working. I'm not seeing any answers come in yet. Okay, no one is answering. I wonder if we're having a problem at this point. Okay, slide is telling me voting is closed. Okay, probably that's because I opened the question before you were ready. That's fine. I'm going to skip to the next question then. I'll tell you the answer though, which is a bit shocking. 7 years. So it takes a bit to digest, and I'm not going to give you that time right now, unfortunately. But that just highlights how urgent it is that we act on climate change. And the same would apply to any other UK city. Okay, this should work now for the next question. When did Leicester City Council declare a climate emergency? Was it in 2001, 2008, 19, or 21? So the timer is on, the answers are in. Okay, 50% of you said 2019, and you are correct. Excellent, excellent. I hope that doesn't mean that only 4 people are playing now. Let's see, but well done. That's 1 correct. Okay, 75% of trips of 2 to 5 miles in the UK were made in a car. True or false? You're saying true. That's a shocking statistic, isn't it? If that's true, 2 to 5 miles, comfortably walkable or cyclable, but it is true. Well done. So 2 questions correct. You're on track. You're doing well. So we've got another statistic now about trips of that sort of length, 2 to 5 miles, very cyclable length. More than 1 in 5 trips of that length were made by bicycle. True or false? And you are correct. The actual figure is about 1 in 40 trips, according to government statistics from that year, being made by bicycle, even though they're readily cyclable in terms of distance, at least. Hey, so you've already got 3 correct. You're acing this. Cycling to school is how many times more common in the Netherlands than in the UK? 4 times, 40 times, or 400 times? Oh, it's a tie. The correct answer is 40. You needed that one to get your 4. I don't know. It's not emphatic enough. I'm not going to give you that. You're going to have to get one of the next questions right, I think. But yeah, 40 times more likely. So it just shows the potential to use the bike for these journeys if the culture and the infrastructure is there. Okay, true false one. The UK was found to have broken a law in 2021 by exceeding legal air pollution limits since 2010. True or false? Most of you say that is true, and that is correct. So that is a European-wide agreement that we signed up to as a country, and monitoring from across the country has found that again and again those air pollution levels are being exceeded. And of course, active travel, whether on foot or bike or scooter, is one way of reducing air pollution. Hey, you've done it. You've got 4 questions right. So I'll end the quiz there because you're trying to get it done within an hour. So back to the slides for the session. 1 second. Let me just stop sharing Slido and share my slides. Brilliant. They should be coming up. Brilliant. Okay, so we've explored why we need to escape. So we've looked at the challenges of climate change, air pollution, and how cycling instead of driving around cities brings potentially a lot of benefits, certainly from those perspectives, and that there is potential to grow. So the next bit of designing for behaviour change is understanding the stakeholders involved, so understanding the people whose behaviour we may be trying to change or who may want to change themselves, of course. So I'm going to introduce you to J10 and K20, J and K, to their friends. So 2 people who use a car, they own a car and they use it for all their local trips. So if you imagine a future where we're going to be moving away from the car, each individual is going to have to find a different way of getting around and living their lives. And different things will enable that change and will trigger that change. So just by characterizing 2 people, we're going to explore some of the things that will enable that change. So here we go. Jay. So Jay hasn't cycled since childhood. He's a student, so he lives 3 miles from campus. He's a student at DMU, let's say. He doesn't own a bike at the moment. But Jay is very physically active, so he goes to the gym, he plays team sports in his spare time. His main local travel needs are to go to the leisure centre for the gym and his sporting activities, to do a part-time job 4 miles away from home, and socialising with friends. So typically it's 1 to 5 miles he's travelling for socialising around the city. So that's kind of local travel. Kay. Kay is a confident cyclist, although she doesn't currently own a bike. Kay works part-time in a city centre office 4 miles from home, and her main local travel needs are taking her daughter to the nursery, which is 2 miles away, and doing various local shopping trips 1 to 3 miles away. So we're just characterizing, we could go into more detail, of course, but 2 individuals, different needs, different circumstances, and how a bike might work for them. We're going to come back to this as the session goes on. The next recurring theme we're going to look into are the things we can do to help people get cycling. So in behavior change language, we're talking about interventions. And I'm going to introduce interventions over the session through a few different search activities. So here is your first one. So basically, this is like an online search thing. So you're going to have to find your favorite search engine. I recommend Ecosia, which plants trees as you search, but Google and others are available. And you're going to try and find the answer to the question in bold. So for students who cycle to DMU, how many secure parking spaces are there for their bicycles? And you'll find the answer online, probably in the most obvious web page that would have that information. And then here's the thing, when you've got your answer, you don't just put it in the chat. There's basically a web page that will only open if you get the right answer. So the web page is as follows. https://escapefromthecar.wordpress.com/ and then instead of XXX, put your answer. And if you're right, then that page will open up and it will give you a passphrase or code word, and then copy that into the event chat. That's how we know you've succeeded. So go for it, get searching, basically. After about a minute, I might give you a clue if no one's come forward with the answer. But open another tab, grab your phone, see if you can find the answer. Obviously, only one person in the team needs to pull it off. Thanks, events team, for copying the URL info. So you just need to replace XXX with the answer you find on the appropriate web page. Oh, look at that. Someone's in there straight away. So you may still be in the midst of finding this, but someone has thrown in showers at work/uni, which you could have only found if you got the right number and found a passphrase. Well done. So basically, DMU, oh, you know what? I don't have the number to hand, has, I think it's 636 from the top of my head. Whoever's using the Kai account could probably tell me straight away how many secure bike parking spaces it is. Anyway, I think it's of that order, and they found a page, and we got showers at work uni. Brilliant. So let me bring back my slides. Brilliant. That's it, 636. So that's how many secure bike spaces there are for students. So well done. You have secured for yourself 2 of your target 8 intervention ideas. So secure bike parking and also showers available for people who cycle in to get clean, change their clothes. Well done. Onwards. So another thing we look at when we think about behavior change is barriers. So very often people are interested in doing something, but something is holding them back. It might be about their capability to do the behavior. It could be motivation, that they don't have it. It could be something about our environment that either helps or hinders us adopting a particular behavior. And they vary, of course, person to person, but often there are common themes that cut across everyone. So what we're going to do now is a kind of a brainstorm in the Q&A box about barriers. So we've got a list of 10 barriers to cycling, and my challenge for you is to try and guess all 10 that we have in mind. It's pretty obvious things, so I think you'll do all right. So as quick as you can, what might be a barrier to people cycling? If you ask them, why don't you cycle, what are they going to say to you? So throw in your ideas in the chat box, and I'll be confirming as we go along as you're getting them correct. Okay, so using the Q&A box, just throwing in reasons why people might give you that they're choosing not to cycle. Okay, the kayak count straight away. No bike, not confident. No safe cycle routes. Yes to all 3 of those. Own skill and confidence. Yep, same as not confident. Yep, so that's one of them. Heavy traffic on roads. I'll give you that because one of the ones is around perceived safety of roads. Not as quick as other options. Yep, that could be relevant, but we didn't have it on our list, I'm afraid. Need to transport others or things, also a good reason, but not on the list. Onward journeys, also a good reason. Very commonly cited when people combining trips to maybe drop someone off, but not on the list, I'm afraid. So keep it coming. I might be generous and not demand all 10 if we're not looking like we'll get all the way there. Had an accident cycling. Yeah, that could certainly put you off if that had happened. Weather, Sasha is straight in there with weather. Absolutely. Yep, that's commonly offered as a reason, and that is on the list. Keep it coming. The weather, that's great. Safe routes, I think we've had already, but I agree. Maybe I'll give you a clue or two. So things we haven't had yet. I guess stuff around what other people are doing, stuff around security of your bike, stuff around being able to, okay, need for expensive bike locks and lights. Yeah, often a barrier for some people, but not on the list, but good reason. What about concerns about your appearance if you cycled? What concerns might people have? Can't ride a bike, absolutely. So we've kind of bundled that under confidence using a bike. Fear of theft, yeah, I'm going to give you no secure parking for that one. I think we're on 7 so far. You're doing pretty well. If I can have one more, I'm going to give you this. Anything around how you wouldn't enjoy how it would make you look, if there's a concern. Helmet hair, Susan, boom, helmet hair is on the list. Okay, it's too far. Agree, Dave. Common reason, although not on the list. Women need confidence in some cultures. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cultural issues are, everything you're offering is valid. It's just, have you got the same things as my list? I think I'm going to give you that. I think you've got 8 out of 10. So that is a pretty good pretty good list. Brilliant. So let me advance. So this is what was on the target list. Bad weather, feeling unsafe on the road. So I think 2/3 of people in most recent survey I've read say their perception is they would not be safe to cycle on roads, and that is kind of linked to a perception of a lack of cycle lanes. They want safe off-road places to cycle. You didn't get bike needs repair. So a lot of people, they have a bike, but it's not fully operational, and that's the thing that's stopping them. Fairly minor barrier that could be fixed. Helmet hair, getting sweaty. So for a lot of people, if it's especially in a professional context, they don't want to cycle somewhere and arrive sweaty or just feeling a bit discombobulated. One thing you've not said that certainly has come up to me when I speak to people who support people to get cycling is that their friends don't do it. So that can be a barrier. If all your friends are kind of going out, in a taxi or sharing a car, and the culture in your peer group isn't to cycle, then that can be a barrier. So we covered no secure parking. I think concern around theft. Confidence, are you able to ride a bike at all, and or do you feel confident to ride a bike in traffic? Preference to walk. So for many journeys that are cyclable length, some people will be much happier just walking actually. And I've touched on lack of cycle lanes. There we go. So those are some of the many barriers. You've highlighted many others. And the point here is that for someone to get on a bike, you need to, for them as an individual, eliminate those barriers. And for a population as a whole, of course, you need to think about those interventions that will enable people across that population to not face those barriers. So there's a lot to do to get people in your city riding bikes, is the headline of this. Okay. Tangent again, it's search moment. So we're going to come up with another intervention idea. Again, in bold is what we're going to ask you to look for. So there's an event every year in Leicester. It's used to be the Sky Ride, now it's called Let's Ride Leicester, and it's our main mass cycling event in the city where lots and lots of people are encouraged to get out cycling. How many people took part last time? So again, find your answer and then type it in by replacing XXX with your answer, and then you should get a code word that you can put in the event chat if you're correct. So good luck, happy searching. It should be in the most obvious place. Timing wise, I'd say we're reasonably on track, by the way, to finish in an hour. 1 o'clock is our hard deadline. Oh, the DMU Centre for Academic Innovation account is on fire. Lunchtime social bike rides. Correct. So well done. So I think you found that information on the Let's Ride Leicester webpage, where it would have said that just over 12,000 people took part last time. So it's a really big event. And if you've been on that page, you'll see thousands of people taking part, and you get to cycle through the King Power Stadium. Lots of roads are closed across the city. So it's a really powerful experience of being on a bike in roads that might normally, for your experience, be full of traffic. And the thing we've added, lunchtime social bike rides, that's something that the City Council have been organising in recent years, sort of recognising for a lot of people. It's about having a time to get out on a bike and discover routes and do it with friends or with colleagues, and then it feels a bit more approachable as something you might join in. So we've got 2 more intervention ideas on our list. Well done. Okay, so back to barriers and benefits. We've spoken about barriers, which might make us wonder why anyone would ever do it, but there are benefits too. So we're going to look at some of the benefits about why people might take up cycling. So they provide the motivation for any behavior change. It's the energy. So imagine people are going to let go of having a car and switch to mostly cycling for their local travel needs. This is a strong change. Think about this change in general, or specifically J and K who I've introduced earlier. And we're going to explore this on a word cloud. And victory looks like having at least 10 distinct benefits and at least one that makes me smile. So I'm looking for a little playfulness and creativity of what might be a benefit here. So go to Slido again, and I'm going to open the word cloud, and then it's just about throwing in your ideas. You can throw in as many as you want. So here we go, word cloud, activate. Okay, and then I'm just going to make sure I'm displaying it for you as well. Okay, folks, I hope you can hear me again. Had a problem with the platform where my menu moved, and instead of clicking share it, I clicked leave studio, which is very unhelpful, isn't it? So let me just go back to sharing the word cloud. Oh, brilliant, stuff is appearing. So we want at least 10 distinct ideas, one of which makes me smile. What have we got? Fitness and exercise. Similar, I'll give you one for that. Fresh air, that sounds nice. Saving petrol costs, improved mood, nice, and yeah, definitely true. More friends, possibly. You're more likely to bump into your friends when you're out and about and have a chat, certainly if you're cycling. More work productivity, yeah, you can have that. So if you're exercising, it's good for your well-being, you might be more productive. Smell flowers and lawns. Yeah, absolutely. You're kind of having a sensory experience of your environment. Eco-friendly. Thanks for adding that. That's the rationale for this session. Absolutely is a significant one. I think that's 6. What else have we got? Now, I don't know the actual evidence about getting a more pert backside if you cycle. So it's certainly, yeah, that's smile-worthy. But I don't know if I can approve it in terms of if that's true. Could well be true. Notice nature, spending money on chocolate. Yeah, it's interesting. Could be you exercise more and you treat yourself more to chocolate. I think we've got 2 half marks for a smile already. Rain on face. Benefit. Most people wouldn't see that as a benefit, so I'm not going to give you that one. What else? I'm counting about 7 or 8 so far. Notice nature. You can have that one. Pub on the way home. Yes, that's a good one. Very easy to integrate with getting about and socializing. Hear the bird song. That's pretty good. Feel smug. Could well be feel smug. Doing your bit. That's similar to the eco thing. Business with bike shops. That's good. Closing in on having a yellow jersey. Yes, we can all dream. Brilliant. Okay, I think you've just by overwhelming me. I think I'm going to give you 10 there. that's brilliant. Lose lockdown kilos. Yeah, absolutely as well. Great, good effort. Okay, I think you've got there. So there are benefits potentially to cycling, and you've highlighted many of them. Okay, let me go back to the slides without leaving the session this time. Okay, good, well done. You can proceed. So you've done well. You've identified lots of benefits, and J and K, remember, so J, student, loves to exercise, so those health benefits could be really relevant for J. K wanted to, just pragmatically move around with a young family and get to work and what have you. So there could be practical benefits, beating traffic maybe, going on the off-road routes. So good benefits list. So tangent again, we're going to identify another intervention idea, number 3. So here's your clue in bold. So Ride on Leicester is the city's new e-bike share scheme. So essentially where there'll be points across the city with bikes, and you can join the scheme, borrow a bike for a short journey, and then return the bike to one of the stands across the city. Now, it's in use already, but only for people with a certain role. So what is that role? So see if you can find some information online to tell you the answer. And then same way as you've done before, replace XXX with your answer. Get hunting. Hey, we have a new winner. I mean, you're all winners, you're a team, but first one up isn't the Kai account. It is Sasha Christopher with new off-road cycle lane. So well done. So what you would have discovered is at the moment, Ride on Leicester is available to key workers. And I understand if you work at the uni and you teach, that then you can qualify as a key worker. And I think students as well at the uni could take part in that way. Well done, Robin, as well, for finding the answer. So if you're a key worker, you're already able to use it. And if you're not, you should be able to use it in a few months when the scheme launches fully. And that's electric bikes that are available for people to borrow and use across the city. That's what we've got coming, which is quite unique. So in like London, where they've got a similar scheme, they're not electric bikes. There's something quite different about how it's going to happen in Leicester. So well done, and you have 2 more intervention ideas in your toolkit. So having e-bike scheme, and also something we've seen a lot of in Leicester over the last few years, new off-road cycle lanes. So Leicester's done a very unusual thing of actually closing lanes to vehicular traffic and creating dedicated cycle lanes across the city over the last few years. So big changes there that will make many people feel safer as they cycle. So well done. Thanks to Sue also for finding key workers. So several of you got there. That's great. Brilliant. So we're moving on now. So we've identified our target behavior. We've thought about what might stop people doing it. We've thought about the benefits of doing it. So now we're getting towards having our theory of change. So our theory of change is so important when doing a behavior change design. It's so important to be able to articulate it, not just stumble into doing stuff without knowing what you're doing and why. So what we've got here are a couple of theories of change. One of what will get J cycling and not replacing his car, and one for K. So what will enable K to swap a bike for a second car in their household. However, they're all mixed up. The bits in red, all the letters are mixed up, and it's not telling us the right information. So your help is needed. So use the Q&A box, and basically you've got some anagrams to solve. And to share your answers, if you just, for example, for the first one for J, you put A1 and then put your answer in the box. But I suggest doing them in a random order so that if you're a bit slower than someone else, you're not working on A1 and then you miss out on doing it. So just as you find them, we need all 8. We need to build up our theory of change for J and K. So to share your answers, it's A1 or B2 or A4 or whatever, plus your answer in the Q&A box. I recommend A3 as an easy beginning. It's where I wish I told you to have a pen and paper handy at the start. Often helps. I will give clues. Come on, surely someone can do A3. I'll warn you now, in terms of timing, we've got this. Oh, interesting. Okay, we've got some answers coming in. So A1, low cost. Yes, you've nailed it. So if J can buy a low cost, reliable bike, brilliant. And if K can safely take a daughter to the nursery, so not Rye runs. Okay, this is tricky. Yeah. Oh wow, Kai is fired in with A4. Not no fried dogs, but good friends. So if some of Jay's good friends start cycling too, Jay's going to be more motivated. Okay, we're doing well. That's 3 out of 8 already. I'm sure cycling is cheaper than a coned scar, but it could be something else that's cheaper than as well. Okay, that's 2 of you who've nailed A4. That's great. We've got 19 minutes to go. And after this, you've got one more internet search and one other activity. So you're on the edge. You're on the edge of doing it in your hour. Let's see. A3. I think you mean B3, but yes, B3, second car. If cycling is cheaper for K than having a second car, then K is in. Brilliant. A2, low risk. Nice one, Helen. So, okay, I think apart from A3, which I would have guessed was the easiest one, A3 is exercise. Yes. Okay, Jay, you've got it. So we're just shy of B2 and B4. Scoop halls and yet wet gas, which I think are my favorite of the anagrams, actually. So B2 is somewhere where K may want to go. I think I've already mentioned it in the introduction to K in terms of places she goes in her life in the local area. And then B4, we've kind of mentioned it as well in relation to showers, of why you might want to have showers. I'll tell you B2 is 2 words. Get set legs. It's a good alternative anagram, but I don't think set legs is a thing. But actually, get is the first word for B4. I'll give you that much. So you're mostly there. Oh, come on. So B4 is get something. B2 is places where you might buy stuff, in short, in your community. I'm really giving a heavy hint here. Get sweaty. Well done. Yeah, concern about getting sweaty was B4. And B2, 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 B2. Okay, it's B2's local something. Local what? Local shops. Boom, you're there. Brilliant. I'm going to move straight along. So there we go. So this is our theory of change. So for Jay, if Jay can get a low-cost, reliable bike and try out cycling in a low-risk environment and start doing cycling for exercise, and some of Jay's good friends start doing it as well, then Jay's going to start cycling and not replace his car. And for Kay, if she can get her daughter safely to nursery, get to work in local shops, it's cheaper to have a bike than a second car in the household. And if she doesn't get sweaty for going to work and what have you, then Kay is up for having a bike instead of a second car. So we've got two theories of change here for these individual people. Obviously, for a city as a whole, you'd have a much bigger theory of change about the things you need to do to get people cycling. So having the safe cycle routes is a big part of the theory of change at the level of a city, but it's also that level of detail of what individuals need and what would hold them back. So we've got our theory of change. We now need to develop our interventions to help them. So final intervention idea. Adults can get free cycle training in Leicester. Where in the city could you do the beginners level 1 training? So you know the score, look online, see if you can find an answer to that. And then copy the phrase you'll find into the Q&A. We have 15 minutes to go. I think you're in with a fighting chance. Again, it's on the most obvious web page that exists, I think, for this function. "14 minutes to go." So find the answer, stick it onto the web page, tell us the code word you find. You need someone in your team to pull it off. So I'd suggest your keywords are about adult cycle training in Leicester if you're searching. Oh, Sacha is in there. Wheels to Work scheme. That is the correct answer. So what Sacha would have discovered on the adult cycle training webpage for Leicester is level 1 you can do in parks and playgrounds. So basically off-road environments where you can just learn the basics of cycling. And then there's levels 2 and 3, which advances more to kind of being in traffic and safely navigating junctions. And the extra intervention you've identified is the Wheels to Work scheme, which is a really great thing if you've not heard of it. If you're new to a job or taking on an apprenticeship, it means you can borrow for a limited period transport to help you get to work. And that might be like a moped or something, but also it could be a bicycle or an electric bike. And it means you can try out, for example, riding an electric bike and see if that works for you in your circumstances. Then down the road, if it's worked for you, you could then consider if you want to buy one. So the Wheels to Work scheme, brilliant. We've got 8 intervention ideas. And what we're going to do now is see which interventions we can use to help J and K get going. We've got 12 minutes. We might manage it. So a reminder, for J, J would like a low-cost, reliable bike, could try out cycling in a low-risk environment, start doing cycling for exercise, and wants some good friends to start cycling as well. K can safely take a daughter to nursery, get to local shops conveniently. It's cheaper to have a bike than a second car, which you'd hope is achievable. So, but that could give some leeway for an expensive bike maybe. And K doesn't get sweaty when cycling, so things about avoiding that. So, final activity is choosing from our interventions to match them. So what you're going to do, you're going to rank the top 3 choices, and we'll do J first, then we'll do K. So rank your top 3, and I've got 5 in mind that will fit for each of them. So as long as your collective top 3 are covering the 5, then you've done it. If not, and we'll tell you how many you got correct, maybe give you a clue, and then you try again. So let me start the poll, and I will share. So that is presenting, and let me just share my screen. So stop sharing that, share the tab, so we can see what's happening. Brilliant. Okay, so of those 8, which do you think might get J? Our DMU student wants his friends to get cycling, wants to try it out in a safe environment. Which of these might work? And you need to put them in order, 1, 2, 3, in your view, and then we'll have the sort of collective view of the group. I hope we're not having a technical glitch. Oh, there we go. 1 person has entered. So things are coming in. Brilliant. So put them in order from top to bottom. So far we've had 2 people vote. I want to give you more time for other people to vote. It'll just keep on evolving. So put your top, your second, then your third. I'll just give you another 30 seconds or so for other people to have their say. Hope the system's agreeing with you. There's a third person. So far, Wheels to Work is popular, lunchtime rides, new off-road cycle lanes. Okay, final 20 seconds in case anyone hasn't voted yet. Three, two, one. Okay, right, I'll stop counting now, but what we've got is lunchtime social bike rides, off-road cycle lanes, Wheels to Work. You've done it. So those are 3 of the answers I would have accepted. Things that would help. So Jay wants to do it socially, so organised rides where he can do it with his mates, could get his mates going as well. He wants kind of low risk ways of trying out cycling, so the more off-road cycle lanes rather better. And likewise, Wheels to Work means Jay can try out cycling with a borrowed bike before he's having to commit to buying one. I would also have accepted the mass bike ride event, so that's another way you can go on a ride with your friends and just get a taste of it. And the e-bike hire scheme, because also that means you get to try out a bike without needing to own one first. So good effort. We've got Jay's theory worked out. Brilliant. So next up, with 8 minutes to go, can we get Kay on a bike? So I'm going to activate the poll for Kay. And so remember, Kay, the trips Kay wants to make are between 1 and 4 miles. No shortage of money to buy a bike. Doesn't have one at the moment. Wants to get to nursery safely. So safety is a big concern. And doesn't want to get sweaty when cycling, so wants things that will help with that. So what will help for Kay? 3, 2, 1 in order to get Kay going. So I'm expecting at least 5 responses, the people who voted before, to put things in order. Okay, the answers are coming in. That's 3 so far. So off-road cycle lanes, showers, the secure parking, City e-bike hire scheme. Are there two other people who voted last time who are going to have their say as well? Okay, maybe one more person. I'm going to hang fire for one more person to chip in. I'm assuming there is a fifth person who voted last time who's still having a think. Maybe not. Okay. There we go. Okay, I'll stop there then. That's 5 of you. So you're saying showers at your destinations. Absolutely, yep, that's correct. So very helpful thing for people who are concerned about getting mucky or sweaty during their ride. Off-road cycle lanes, absolutely. So a priority there was about safe routes. And secure bike parking at the destination, whether that's in the city centre or at work or otherwise. So well done. You've got 3 of the 5 as well. I would have also accepted, in this case, the city e-bike scheme, which came in 4th anyway. So that offers a way to try out an electric bike. So an electric bike is less effort, so you're less likely to get sweaty using an electric bike. And I would have accepted the Wheels to Work for the same reason, because you can try out an electric bike for your commute through the Wheels to Work scheme. But brilliant effort, well done. Okay, so 5 minutes to go. Back to our slides. So I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm going to share the slides again. Okay, so we picked our interventions for J and K. You came up with things that are going to work for them, that are going to help them to make that choice. Of course, that's combined with all the other help available in society, like, so bikes being available to buy for them and what have you. And good news, you did it. So success, this is what success looks like. So Jay, cost was an issue. So after that support was made available, Jay looked on eBay, got hold of a good quality secondhand bike that could be used for getting around, and with a pannier rack for carrying stuff as well. So very practical. So that was Jay's solution. And now Jay has moved from J10 to J01, not replacing the car, because most of his local trips he could do on a bike. And then Kay, who was in a 2-car household, is now K11, because Kay invested in an electric cargo bike, which they're costly, but the brilliant thing is you can carry children, you can carry shopping, you can carry stuff, and they're really practical for getting around the city. And if it's an electric version, of course, you're not having to expend as much effort to use them. Not for everyone, but if you've got the budget and if you're comparing the cost to buying a car, then it's a pretty affordable option. So K11, welcome. Brilliant. Well done, everyone. You've pretty much got there with 3 minutes to spare. Congratulations. Give yourself a pat on the back. Finally, just to wrap up, obviously what I've done is a little roller coaster ride of understanding how you design for behaviour change and how we can promote and people to get cycling in Leicester. We're going to send you some more information about this after the session. So I'll send you links to some of the resources and support we've spoken about. I'll send you a slide deck, which is all about how to promote behavior change, which gives you a more kind of rigorous explanation of the kinds of principles I've spoken about. So if you're curious about that, you can look at those slides. And finally, there's a request to provide feedback. So there's an online survey that you can fill in and provide some comments and feedback on the session. I should say, by the way, sorry I dropped out partway. That was the one technical glitch, but otherwise it's gone remarkably smoothly. If you want to drop me a line, areeves@dmu.ac.uk is my address. And if you have any urgent questions, we have a whole minute where you can throw in a question at this point. Okay, I see no questions. So wonderful. Thank you for joining. And thanks for taking part in DMU's Festival of Teaching. Please look at the other events in the schedule. Lots of really good stuff happening. And thank you for successfully escaping from the car. Well done, everybody. All right, bye-bye.